Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition. Time for us to immerse ourselves into the conversation of peace building activities over this festive season. And joining us on set is the Secretary, Peace Building and Conflict Management, and that is MOHAMED BARRE, who is already on set with us. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us tonight.
Thank you too.
You can probably begin by telling us, when we talk about peace building and conflict management, I'm sure you're domiciled under the Ministry of Interior, but what exactly do you do?
You're right. We are in the Ministry of Interior and National Government. That is our ministry, and that is the minister or the CS that we work for, as well as the PS, to serve this government and to serve the nation of the public, the citizens of this country. Peace is not something that you can work overnight. Is not something that can be achieved by one institution, one organization, or one person. It is many-faceted activity that can only be achieved when everybody is on board, from the lowest to the highest. And now that we are going into our festivities, end-of-year celebration, Christmas celebrations, they cannot happen without peace. They cannot happen without tranquility. So we must put on our peace coats so that we can enjoy our festivities, so that we can enjoy our Christmas as well as our New Year. What does it call for? It calls for the engagement of the youth, the women, the elderly, the security agents, the CSOs, the FBOs, as well as any other person, any other organization that deals with our safety and security.
And we'll talk about the stakeholders that you involve in this process, but let's talk about the peace building architecture review and what the main objective really is.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow, we'll have the Prime Cabinet Secretary launching the Kenya's new peace agenda. This is a document that has been worked on for almost the last 2 years. There is a panel of advisors that were appointed in March 2023 by our CS under the leadership of the famous General Opande, Ismail Opande. Their objective was to ensure that we have a peace-related agenda that is locally made. Of course, you remember what have transpired in the past. We have been told that we are a peaceful island in a sea of tumultuous ocean or sea. But that has been tried and tested occasionally. We must thank the Lord we have pulled through. So what is it that we can put in place that is local, that is ours, rather than always looking up and looking outside this country for support in the event that we are jolted? So this panel of advisors looked into the possibility of producing a homegrown solution. They have addressed themselves to a very good percentage of the counties that we have. Many counties have similar scenarios. So out of the 47, they visited 33 counties and interviewed so many people, so many organizations, and so many institutions, so that we are able to put in place a lasting agenda for our peace. This could not happen, of course, without the support of our international partners and local partnering organizations. We must give credit to the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator, together with the UNDP, that played a pivotal role in ensuring that this agenda is set in place. So that is what tomorrow our Prime Cabinet Secretary will launch, with the purpose of ensuring that we put measures in place for its implementation. There are about 34 recommendations that this independent panel of elders that have come up with. And how to implement them is our next challenge after the launch. I must say this is a unique document for this country. We are the first country in this world that has come up with a document stating our roadmap for achieving a peaceful nation. Mm-hmm. This has been recognized by the UN Peace Commission, and a delegation of this country under the leadership of the Principal Secretary in the ministry, Dr. Raymond Omolo, went to New York to showcase what we have done, mm-hmm. with the objective of ensuring that we contribute to world peace. Anybody who wanted to benchmark can benchmark, but before we share our good food, we need to eat it ourselves.
All right. You've well spoken about the measures outlined in this document, which is what the Prime Cabinet Secretary will launch tomorrow, and the next phase will be implementation. But over and above measures, what other areas does it cover? For example, sources of conflict. Does this document cover some of these things?
There are quite a number of issues that trigger our conflict. Mm-hmm. Of course, the most known one is the cyclic conflict that is related to our elections. And now that there is this climate change issue, mm-hmm. resource-based conflicts are the in thing. Quite a number of cattle rustling issues, although we have our security agents have worked upon them and reduced, are triggered by this resource-based pasture, water, sometimes land. So these conflicts that are triggered by land issues, that are triggered by resource-based issues, pasture and grazing land and water, how do we address them is what the document looks at. Mm-hmm. If you want to address yourself to the conflict that arises because of climate change, mm-hmm. you need to put resources, policies and programs in place to ensure that if it is necessary, you change the livelihoods of the communities that are affected. Mm. You could get in the North Rift, for example, a farmer or people with hundreds of thousands of land that has similar climatic conditions to places where you have a farmer who has as small piece of land as half an acre or even less, and he's keeping animals that can give him hundreds of liters of milk. Yet that person who has 100,000 acres of land with a similar climatic condition is probably getting 10 liters per day. So what is it that we can do to utilize that big chunk of land to ensure that that farmer benefits and copies the production means used by this person who is using 1 acre or half an acre to produce a lot of milk for his economic gains?
Okay, go ahead.
We are talking about the digitalized world. Crime now is riding on technology. How do we ride on technology to create peace? There is a lot of misinformation and disinformation that rides on the new technology. We need to address ourselves so that we can counter that with a positive approach by use of the new ICT and technology.
For a person living miles away from conflicts, may not understand how resolving conflicts, particularly that level, fits into the broader agenda of peace and security of the nation called Kenya. Give us the nexus between peace and security in the country and insecurity even at the lowest level in the country.
As I told you, peace and security is a wide issue. You might be peaceful as a country, you might be peaceful as a village, you might be peaceful as a county, but what transpires either in the neighboring county, the neighboring country, the neighboring sub-county will affect you. So the approach to sorting and addressing ourselves to peace and tranquility in this nation, as I told you earlier, must be a wide approach. Sometimes we are forced to work with our neighboring countries. There are communities that live across many countries. The other day, we had a function that brought together the Atakere communities, the Toposas, the Tesos, the Turkanas, that live across our neighboring countries, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Kenya, as well as Uganda.
Uganda, yes.
So addressing it might not be done at one level. It is regional, and it can be bigger than the region. We are working with international organization, regional organization, REX. We are working with IGAD to ensure that we have early warning mechanisms to address our security, our peace issues. And what we are doing is we are creating a repository of information, what are the conflict triggers, how to address them. And this, as I told you earlier, sometimes might go outside our boundaries. Within one county, you could have different ethnic groups. So there could be intra-county conflicts. There can be inter-county. If I give you the example of what happened recently between Tana River and Kitui, there is an inter-county conflict which could be resource-based, could be land-based. So these are all issues that dovetail into affecting our peace and security, which we must address, and that is part of the concern and the objectives of our new peace agenda.
I have a minute before I wind things up. But even as we approach the festivities, already we are in them, but then again, Christmas and New Year are what really Kenyans rank in terms of what to celebrate. The big question is, what should Kenyans be aware of this particular season? I understand there's a multi-sectoral team that will be dealing with security, but as a Kenyan, what should be your contribution to the matter of security during this time?
Everybody, from the most religious and the most irreligious, is geared towards celebrating this. So the criminal will want money to celebrate. The cattle rustler will want money to celebrate. So everybody is trying to set themselves to celebrate. So our concern as security agents, our concern as peace agents, is to ensure that we celebrate peacefully. You know, if you want to steal a cow for the purposes of celebrating a religious festival, then you have missed the point. It is a legitimate meat or a legitimate cow gotten through illegitimate means, and you want to legitimize and be near God. It does not answer the purpose. It beats the logic. So let us all strive towards ensuring that we celebrate our festivities with legitimate resources that are earned through our sweat.
Okay.
So don't steal money, don't steal livestock, don't steal any property with the hope of wanting to go and celebrate and be near your Lord, or make yourself happy when you have made many unhappy, or sometimes even have killed.
Thank you very much. Clearly, this is a large conversation, a huge conversation. Probably we need even more time so that we can have a sit down and go through these areas. And probably even after the launch, we can have the conversation on really what this entails. But MOHAMED BARRE, the Secretary, Peace Building and Conflict Management, has been with us in studio talking about peace building activities, not just around the festive season, but really what contributes to the larger agenda of securing the nation. So we take a breather. Business News is up next.